Today we're going to be talking about always having to be in control of what's going on and how this is a form of intolerance of uncertainty and some of the value in delegating tasks as a way of reducing anxiety. Hi everybody! Today's video is a continuation in this series of videos that I'm doing on ways of challenging and overcoming intolerance of uncertainty. And today's video, we're going to be talking about the manifestation of intolerance of uncertainty that's related to wanting to do everything yourself and not delegating tasks to other people. But before I get into that, just a couple of disclaimers to go over. I'm a registered psychologist in the province of British Columbia, Canada, and this video is for informational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute or replacement for advice from your doctor or mental health professional. Now, with those things out of the way, let's start talking about delegating tasks. Now, to a large extent, we all like to have control in our lives, feeling like we generally know what we're doing and that we know how to do certain tasks the proper way. But for people who tend to worry a lot, this sense of being in control of everything is a powerful driving force that can perpetuate their worry. I want you to imagine a scenario in which you're at work and you have a large and very important project that you're working on. The project is one of the most important tasks you've ever been assigned since you started working, and you really want it to go well because this could potentially supercharge your career. So it's a big deal, and you want to make sure that everything goes right. What might you be tempted to do in this situation? Well, if I'm someone who worries a lot, this would likely be a very anxiety-provoking and sort of highly anxiety-provoking situation, and I would want control over all aspects of the project to ensure that everything was done properly. What this means is that I'm going to want to do it all, and that it would be extremely difficult for me to delegate any of the tasks to anyone else. Even if I have the best team or the best assistant, I might be reluctant to pass on any part of this project to them because I know that everything needs to be done right. The thing is, delegating tasks to other people is fraught with uncertainty. By doing everything yourself, you know that everything has been done the way that you think it should be done. Everything has been done the right way. The moment you have to involve someone else, it creates a lot of uncertainty in the situation. What if the person doesn't do the task properly? What if they mess up the task and I have to end up working on it to fix what they did wrong, which just takes up more time? What if I delegate them a task and they don't even do it? You know what? It's just easier if I do it all myself. Now, have you ever found yourself saying that? Have you ever found yourself in a scenario where you've said, it's just easier and better if I do it all myself? If so, this may be a manifestation of intolerance of uncertainty in your life. Feeling the need to be in control of situations is a very common form of intolerance of uncertainty. By having control, we have a sense that we can control the outcome and that we can make the outcome be what we want it to be. The moment we relinquish control and involve other people or have to rely on other people to do things in order for there to be success, this can trigger a lot of anxiety and worry because other people are inherently uncertain. Even the most reliable people can sometimes surprise us with their unreliability. Even the most conscientious people can sometimes make mistakes. Even the most diligent people can sometimes get sick and not be able to do their work. So by not delegating tasks to other people, and doing everything yourself, it eliminates some of the uncertainty that's involved with having to rely on other people. So, if that's the case, what's the harm in this? If it's just easier for me to do everything myself so that I don't have to rely on other people, what's so wrong about that? Well, the thing is, if you had unlimited time and unlimited resources, maybe there wouldn't be anything wrong with that. If you could do everything yourself and had the ability to do everything yourself, then that would be okay, I guess. However, we don't have unlimited energy. We don't have unlimited time or resources. We can't do everything. And so sometimes we do have to delegate tasks to other people. Additionally, by having to do everything yourself, this can often take the form of needing to have extreme control over situations, which can lead to problems with other people. For example, if I don't let my wife do any of the household cleaning or chores because I'm concerned that she won't do it the right way or she won't do it well enough, this can lead to my wife feeling disrespected or underappreciated. Additionally, I may start to grow resentful because I feel like I have to be doing everything around the house because no one else will do it to the same standard that I would. This is also an exhausting way of functioning. It's often not sustainable to have to do everything yourself, be it in your personal life or your work life. You may be able to get away with it for short bursts of time, but eventually the enormity of doing all the tasks can overwhelm you. So while it can be tempting to want to do everything yourself and not delegate tasks to anyone else, it's unrealistic, it's unsustainable, and it's exhausting. It's also based on the assumption that if I'm not in control, and that if I don't do everything, then it's not going to be done properly, and something bad is going to happen. Now, at a logical level, you probably know that this is simply not true. But as is typically the case with intolerance of uncertainty, it's not just a matter of logically knowing that uncertainty doesn't always turn out badly. It's more a problem of a person not behaving as if that's true. So, if you find yourself doing everything yourself and not delegating tasks to anyone else, what can you do about this? How can you fix this? Well, the first step is to recognize that you're engaging in intolerance of uncertainty behavior, recognizing that you have difficulty delegating tasks to other people, and that the reason for this is because you're anxious about the uncertainty that comes when you have to rely on and trust that other people will do what they're supposed to do. And after that, the idea is to think about behavioral experiments that you can do in the situation that involves delegating tasks to other people and letting go of some of the control. Now, this doesn't have to be a huge grand gesture, but it can be a small shift in behavior in which you delegate smaller tasks to other people and see what happens. You can think about these behavioral experiments as ways of testing and evaluating the accuracy of your worry. So, for example, if I always load the dishwasher because I don't think that my wife will load it as efficiently, my behavior experiment could be to ask her to load the dishwasher. That's the experiment. The next step is to think about what I worry is going to happen in that situation. This is my prediction of what will happen when I ask my wife to load the dishwasher. And it's really important to begin to think about your worries in this way, to think about your worries as predictions, because that's all they really are. So, what might my worry prediction be in this situation? Well, I might worry that, what if my wife doesn't load the dishwasher and that the dishes just sit there overnight? I might worry, what if my wife doesn't load the dishwasher as efficiently and that there will be a whole bunch of dishes that need to be hand washed because they wouldn't fit into the dishwasher? I might worry that my wife may have loaded the dishwasher in a way that not all of the dishes get cleaned properly. So those are my predictions of what's going to happen when I ask my wife to load the dishwasher. So we have our experiment, what I'm going to do, and we have our prediction. What is it that my worry tells me is going to happen? The next step is to then actually engage in the behavior, to ask my wife to load the dishwasher and see what happens. This is the data collection step in the tolerating uncertainty experiment. By seeing what happens and collecting the data, you then have evidence which you can now compare to the worry prediction and to see how does the evidence actually compare to what your worry told you was going to happen. And that's the final step, comparing what you predicted was going to happen with what actually happened. What this does is it gives you a sense of how accurate your worries are at predicting what's going to happen in the future. And if you find over and over and over and over again that what you predict was going to happen doesn't happen, then what this suggests is that your worries are pretty terrible at predicting the future. And what this can do is to get you to start questioning how necessary it is for you to have control over everything, and how important it is for you to avoid delegating tasks to anyone else. And as a result of all of this, you may be more willing to delegate tasks to other people, to let others take on roles, and then that frees you up to do other things or to be more efficient in your activities because you're not having to do everything yourself. So these behavioral experiments around delegating tasks to other people can be very useful and powerful in overcoming intolerance of uncertainty. And the other thing that you can do is to try to take advantage of all of the naturally occurring opportunities to tolerate uncertainty on a day-to-day basis. And one of the ways you can do this is by imagining the following question tattooed to the frontal lobe of your brain. And the question is, if I were more tolerant of uncertainty, what would I do in this situation? By having this question at the forefront of your mind, you're likely going to be better at recognizing and you're likely going to be better at recognizing and identifying times that you're needing to be overly in control of a situation. And it will remind you to look for opportunities to delegate tasks or to pass on tasks to other people. And by doing this, you're constantly building tolerance for uncertainty, which can lead you to, ironically, feeling more in control, feeling more confident, being more efficient, and feeling less anxious, because you see that the world is not as frightening or dangerous as your worry would lead you to believe, and that you learn that you can rely on other people to help you when you need help. So I hope this helps explain how wanting to do everything yourself and not delegating tasks to other people is a manifestation of intolerance of uncertainty, and how to recognize when you're trying to overly control a situation because of intolerance of uncertainty. I also hope it gives you a sense of what you can do to purposefully delegate tasks to other people to try and overcome the perception that you have to do everything yourself. So I hope that all makes sense. I would love to hear any questions or thoughts you have about this, so please leave me some comments in the comments section down below. If you've been enjoying my videos and would like to see more, please hit that subscribe button and notification bell, and you'll be alerted every week when I post a new video. So that's all for today's video. As always, thank you for making it all the way to the end of this video, and I will see you in the next one.